Hello and welcome to my first discussion. My name is Dread the Day, but you can just call me Dread. Today we'll be talking about all things meta in relation to gaming. I won't be covering Zuckerberg's new venture. That's a whole other can of worms I really don't want to touch. When talking about meta in reference to gaming, it can generally mean either knowledge outside the game, i.e. role-playing games having a character act upon knowledge they would have no access to, or the best way to achieve the goal, be that killing an enemy or gaining the most experience. We're here to talk about the most effective tactics available, or the meta. I'm only going to touch on a few points, namely what games can have a meta, how it changes the game, and the way we play it. Technically, all games can have a meta. If you look at speedrunning as an example, the tricks and strategies could be considered a meta. Whereas in competitive multiplayer games, usually the best weapons, abilities, or heroes are called meta, or just OP. Meta can also be stretched a little further. For example, when you were younger and discovered the turnip market in Animal Crossing, and figured out how much money you could make off that babushka. You can't tell me you sat there for a few hours resetting and changing the time to make a boatload of bells. I mean, like, pay off your mortgage kind of bells. You could consider that using or abusing a meta tactic. Metas aren't just the best thing out there, it's the best thing you can do, given the circumstances. This topic is generally hard to cover, because it's by a game-by-game basis. Even on occasion it can vary by update depending on the game. But there are three general categories, by my reckoning, we can place games into, depending on how the meta changes them. 1. Meta-defined. Games that are updated or changed based on the meta. Majority of games updated like this are multiplayer and usually competitive in some way or another. 2. Meta-defining. Updates that look to change the way we play or a way we play. And 3. Unaffected. Games that don't really look to shake up the prevailing strategies in their game, maybe add a few new ones or more variety, but largely don't look to change things up. Multiplayer and competitive games get hit with metas the hardest. Depending on the game and the severity, it can feel like living under an iron fist with only one way to play, or die. Though that's not always the case. For some players it sure can seem like it though. As for single-player games, it depends on the player and how they are playing. Majority of the time, if a player knows or has access to a strong ability, strategy, or weapon, they'll use it. Though, that has led some players to go against the grain and use the worst weapons, silly strategies, and unorthodox methods to accomplish their goals. All of this to say, it depends on the player. Though, when a strong strategy is easily available, players will naturally tend to gravitate towards them. All of this to say, the metas games develop and the way we develop them is very interesting, and it ultimately reminds me of the Ouroboros, and I love that shit. Have a lovely evening, and remember, you'll dread the day you don't like and subscribalize.